and safety for the distillery guys. Okay, so we still have. With the process today, we try and keep things as traditional as possible. Okay, guys, so when we go around, you'll see very small scale production. We try and still do things very, very manually here. Okay, so everything we make is sold as a single malt Scotch whisky. Okay, so when we make single malt in Scotland, we just use 3 simple ingredients in the process. Okay, guys? So all you need is barley, water, and yeast. That's it, guys.
Barley, water,
and yeast.
That's all you need. So
no sugar?
Sorry?
Sugar or?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
The sugar is going to come from the barley. So we start off with the barley. So you'll see on the table here,
Yeah.
we've got on that right hand side, that's the bucket of the barley.
Oh, that's the barley, okay. Okay.
So it's what we call malted barley. So what happens with that barley is first of all it's soaked in warm water. We then spread it out and germinate it for 4 days. So that germination process gives us access to the starches in the barley. So we need to get to the starches because later on we convert the starches from the barley into these fermenting sugars which is going to allow us to make the alcohol. Okay? So after 4 days germination,
Okay, yeah.
the cat.
Okay. Oh my God, of course.
You don't have a cat. You need to get a cat.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see the cats later on. You need to keep your eyes peeled for the cat. Okay? So yeah, once we've done it for 4 days, we then just dry out the barley. So we can either air dry it, or there's another method we can use to dry the barley by burning peat. So the first thing we do here is we'll take 1 ton of barley per batch and then we mill it through this little machine that we have over here, guys. So we reckon it's about 100 years old. So probably should have been taken to a museum a long time ago.
Okay.
This is what we end up getting once it's gone through, guys. Okay? So it's like a post flour. It's what we call the grist. So once we've got the 1 ton of the grist, there's a big red hopper up here. So it gets released down the arm into this container. We're going to add the grist with 3 batches of water. So the water is stored in the big tank up here. So the first batch of water is coming in here at 64 degrees Celsius. So at that temperature, we're able to convert the starches into the sugars in that barley. So what you can see in there just now, that is a very, very sugary liquid. So that's the basis for us to then go and make the alcohol. So we let this sugary liquid drain through the bottom of the mash tun. It's like a big sieve in the bottom. So the liquid drains through, it gets piped under the floor. We then pass it through the wall here, and it goes next door. So it's ready for fermentation. So we can add the yeast to that to start that fermentation process next door. So once that first batch of sugar liquid goes through, the second batch of water comes in here at 86 degrees Celsius. So that's converting the more stubborn starches into the sugars. So just repeat the same process, send that next door. So roughly 6,000 litres of the sugary liquid were taken from the 1 ton of grist after the first 2 waters. At the end of the process, the third water comes in at 90 degrees Celsius. It just removes all the sugars which are left. There's not really enough sugar left in that liquid to make it worthwhile going next door. So we recycle it back into the water tank. That's used as part of the first water for the next batch, which is going to run through here. So in total,
untuk ada kami dengan medul sana super prosesnya normal gitu.
then coming down this arm and then towards back number 6. The full 6,000 litres from this goes into one of these. It's called a wash pan. This is a fermenting vessel. It fills it roughly halfway with the sugary liquid. So what's going to happen in here is you'll see the yeast is floating on the top there. So the yeast has been added in here. So it's 25 kilograms of yeast that we're adding per batch. So the yeast is working. Okay, sorry. Like every bell and every your floor. So I'll show you what what the yeast is doing, it's converting the sugars and the oxygen into alcohol, and then carbon dioxide is getting formed as a byproduct in that reaction. So we'll leave the yeast in here to work for 3 days. There's a 3-day fermentation time. After 3 days, what we end up with is an 8% alcohol. So it's a little bit like a strong beer at this stage. Definitely not a beer I would ever recommend you drink, guys, okay? Some distilleries will offer you a sample to try at this stage. Do not take it, guys, if they offer you, okay? It does not taste good at all. So what we do at this stage is we empty out 2 of these per batch, so get 12,000 litres of this 8% alcohol. So pipe them into the stills. We're going to go through the distillation process, so that's going to allow us to concentrate the strength of that alcohol next door, guys. Okay? So So we'll go next door and I'll show you the cells and talk you through this process. Inside there gets heated to 92 degrees Celsius. So at that temperature, because it's below the boiling point of water, above the boiling point of alcohol, you get the separation of the alcohol from the water. So the alcohol turns into a vapour, your water stays as a liquid. So this alcoholic vapour is going to rise up the sill. So you'll see in the rafters there at the top of the roof, we've got this other piece of pipe. So the vapour rises up and then travels over that pipe, which takes it outside. So just on the other side of the wall there, you've got the condenser. So that's going to cool the vapour, that's converting it back into its liquid state. So after the first distillation, we've concentrated the alcohol from 8% up to 25%. So getting there, slowly getting there, guys. So we need to concentrate the alcohol again. So that 25% alcohol will go next door and we'll pass it through the second distillation in the smaller still. Same process for repeating in the second still. This time the alcohol is much higher. It sits between 75 and 65%, guys. Okay?
How many days can you?
Sorry?
How many days will you take?
So 8-hour distillation and the first still, 7-hour distillation and the second still, guys. When we're getting alcohol above 75%, there's quite a lot of harshness in that, so we don't really want that to come in the whiskey. Also in that kind of lower strength alcohol, when it's under 65%, there's quite a lot of nasty flavours which are coming through in that. It's almost quite metallic, the character which comes through in that. Again, we don't really want that. So what we want in between, during the second distillation, is the alcohol in between 75 and 65%. So that's the highest quality alcohol that we can get during the two distillations. So to get that high quality alcohol, we separate the alcohol. This is what we use to go through that sort of separation process during the second distillation. So what's happening just now is the first distillation is going on. So this 25% alcohol is running along the top pipe from the condenser outside. It's going round the back of the safe. That's the alcohol that you can see coming through just now. So it goes through the bowl, down this black pipe, over to this big tank over here. So from the tank, we'll send everything to the second distillation next door. So during that second distillation, the 75 to 65% alcohol will go around the back of the safe. We'll let it run through this middle section here. So the little spirit still isn't getting worked at the moment, so there's nothing coming through here at the moment. But that higher strength alcohol would come first, so over 75%. So that's called the head of the distillation. So the head goes through the right hand bowl, down the wee silver pipe, back to this tank over here. So the head will come through for about 4 minutes, and then after 4 minutes we see the alcohol start to drop. So when the high quality alcohol starts to come through, we'll just flip the handle, let the spirit run through the left hand bowl, down the black pipe, over to a separate tank. So we call the high quality alcohol the heart. The heart will run for about 3.5 hours, and then once the strength drops under 65%, the end of the distillation is known as the tail. So we'll just flip the handle back over, and the tail is running back through this right hand bowl and back to the tank over here. So this is how we only separate out the high quality alcohol every time. So it's roughly 1,200 litres of the heart every time we run the spirit still, the little still next door guys. Okay? So what we have just now, the heart, is just a crystal clear spirit. So no colour, we can't call it whiskey. So to get the flavour that we want, to get the colour that we want, we age the spirit in the casks. And that will then give us something that we can call and sell as a single malt Scotch whisky. Okay, so of vanilla caramel flavour coming through in our whisky. We also use sherry casks. So we use American oak sherry and European oak sherry. So the oak used to make the cask is just slightly different. Both of them have contained Oloroso sherry from Spain. So that gives us a lovely sort of sweet fruit flavour coming through in the final whisky. So fill up the casks in the filling store. We then take the casks into our warehouses. So there's 6 warehouses just at the entranceway, just along the roadside there, guys. So there's roughly 1,000 casks in each warehouse. So roughly 6,000 casks maturing on site here at the distillery. So legally to be classed as a single malt Scotch whisky, you have to mature the spirit in a cask for 3 years, minimum 3 years. Okay. For us here, we mature between 7, so 7's the youngest, up to 33. That's the oldest that we've ever matured for, 33 years. So what happens is you get the development of the flavour and the character during that maturation. So what will happen during that maturation as well is you get evaporation taking place from the cask. So every single year we will lose roughly 2% of the spirit by volume through that evaporation process, guys. Okay? It's what is known as the angel's share in Scotland because it rises up, it goes up to the heavens, guys. Okay? So
when you're drinking, that's feel it.
yeah, so the joke in Scotland is that the angel's share is the only reason why a Scotsman would want to get himself into heaven, because he wants to get his whiskey back, guys. He doesn't want to lose it. But we don't mind giving away the 2% because it means you're getting the development of the flavour coming through. So once we've matured, aged the spirit for the length of time we want to do it for, what we'll do, the final step in the process, is what's called the marrying process. So we're just mixing casks together at the end of the process. So that gives us consistency in the bottling and allows us to bring out the flavour that we really want to come through in that whisky as well. So once we've married together, we don't have a bottling facility here. So we get sent down to the central belt of Scotland, a little place called Coatbridge. So So they bottle everything down there, and then they send the bottles back up to us, and we open the bottles and enjoy the whiskey, guys, which is, for me, the most important step in the whole process is enjoying the whiskey at the end. Okay? So what we'll do to finish off, we'll go to the bar, we'll have a little taste of whiskey to finish off, and if there's any questions, we can just kind of talk through that at the bar to finish off, guys. Okay? Perfect, guys.
അത് ഞാൻ എടുക്കില്ല കേട്ടോ.
എടുക്കണ്ട, ഇത് കൈ മാത്രം എടുത്താൽ മതി.
കൈ വാച്ചൊക്കെ അടിക്കും.
If you take your glass in your right hand, hold the glass up to the light, like so. With your left hand, that will look like you know what you're talking about when you do this, guys. Very, very, very important. Okay? When you hold to the light, if you then just tilt the glass and just roll the glass round in your hands 360. So you'll see you get the watermark, so the whiskey will stick to the glass.
Okay.
You'll then get these little droplets, the little vertical lines coming down the glass.
Yeah.
So we call those angels tears.
As I said to you, when you're drinking, you can feel it gone, like a burning feeling.
So the thinner the tears, the higher the strength of the alcohol that you're drinking. Okay, so it's a 43% alcohol that we're drinking here. So high strength. The next thing we do is we go and have a nose. So we nose. So we always recommend you nose 3 times. So go and nose and take away. And just each time you nose it, you should be able to adjust to the alcohol and start to pick out some of the flavours coming through in the whiskey. There's no right and wrong answer with this. Everybody will get something different. What we're looking for in the Glenturret Triplewood is a nice sweet citrus character. You'll maybe get vanilla, caramel, ginger, even some cinnamons coming through in that. So you get a sweetness, but there's like a spicy character as well. The final step, the most enjoyable step, is drinking the whiskey, guys. Okay? So single malt tends not to be a shot, because you just get the alcohol burn running down here. So drink it slowly. If you move it around your mouth, it'll give your tongue time to pick up on the different flavours coming through as well. Okay? But as long as you enjoy it, I don't care how you drink it, guys. That's the most important thing. Okay? So cheers.
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 Thank you. Mari stare. Pilih Maria.
keep it around. Just to say, you will get £5 off if you want to purchase the Tumblewood and the 10-year-old peat smoke editions here as well. So £5 off 2 whiskies that we have on the shelf there. We do also have an offer in the basket there. So you get 2 whiskies and the old style bottling for £48 as well. If you have any other questions, just come and find me, or get Charlie and Gillian. Thank you very much for coming down, guys. Thank you very much.